Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Lawrence Singleton, Dean of the Lubin School of Business, and I'd like to welcome you to the Roundtable, the Dean's Roundtable this afternoon. I'm pleased that we have with us Mr. Dan McManus, who holds a BBA in marketing from Pace University and an MBA from NYU, although I understand that he wishes he had gotten his MBA from Pace as well. He's currently the president and chief executive officer of Evosus, the #1 business software for swimming pool, spa, and hearth industries in North America. Prior to being named CEO of his company, Mr. McManus served as vice president of sales and marketing at the company. In the early 2000s, he built a multi-million-dollar marketing agency, Touchpoint Marketing, where he conceived and executed multi-channel marketing campaigns for global clients. And that was in Houston, Texas. He was an early stage internet entrepreneur whose career took him to many places, now running his business in Washington State, just across the line from Portland. I understand it's the biggest suburb of Portland, Oregon, where he now calls home. So it's my pleasure to have with us Mr. McManus, and turn it over to him. Dan?
Oh, thank you, Dean Singleton. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. It is truly an honor to be here today, and I'm going to do my best to keep this moving, keep you entertained, tell some anecdotes along the way. Got a little presentation cooked up for you. And yeah, hearing all those things from Dean Singleton, it's true what your parents told you way back when. If your parents are anything like mine, they said, time waits for no one. It moves quickly. Time goes on. And so here I am, having graduated from Pace with a BBA in 1992, and all of a sudden it's 2021. 51-year-old Dan McManus here, and yeah, I've done a lot of things. Some things have gone really well, and some things, some few bumps in the road being an entrepreneur. I know that if I think back to my time at the Lubin School of Business, I wanted a better life. I wanted to make something of myself. I wanted my family to be proud of me. I wanted a lot of the things that I bet a lot of you want. And so that was my starting point. I really didn't know what my major should be. I talked to some upperclassmen that led me in the direction of marketing. I just sort of figured things out as they went. As I thought about, what if I have, a little bit of time with you all today, what is it that I can give you that I would have wanted years ago? And so with that, I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to take a little walk back in time. Hopefully you can all see that. Well, there's Dan McManus in 1992 with his Pace jersey. I was on the track and cross country teams, and we had great dreams back then, and we did some things. We had a good team pulled together. And then here I am today, about 3 decades later. And as it says on the bottom, today's presentation is called 10 Things I Wish I Knew 30 years ago. So before we jump into that, a little bit more about me. I was from upstate New York, where I originally grew up in the Catskill Mountains area. You can see the Eldred jersey there, ran some races, did some cross country and track. And, I was such a big fish in this little town that they had to put it in the newspaper, McManus picks Pace, which was only half true because Pace picked me. I visited the campus a couple times, and I felt this great vibe. I remember walking into the auditorium the very first time, and this big Irish setter literally walks up and hugged me. And it was pretty much over at that point. I mean, once that happened, I had to go to Pace. So I looked at 10 different schools, and I ran to Pace. I didn't just walk. This is circa 1990. This is our cross country and track team. Here we are hanging out on the big old rock at the Rockefeller estate there, right off one of the main routes, if it's still there. Beautiful, beautiful place. Coach Barno there on the left side of the screen was a great coach, and he would say, this is world class. This is like the best place in the world to train. And of course, we were all thinking, yeah, right. At least I was. But now I realize he was right. He was right. We weren't running on pavement every day. We sort of had these beautiful trails and the trees and the changing of the seasons and all those things. You really are in a very special place of the country. And I know that while I was mostly at the Pleasantville campus, a little bit in New York and a little bit in White Plains, it's just a beautiful, beautiful place. Here's the rest of the team. My brother's up there. We've got Nick Jonidis, who I think may be on today's webinar. Hey, Nick, thanks so much for the pictures over the weekend. And the rest of the team, the Weiss brothers are there, Chris Kronk, yeah, all kinds of, Ron Banks, great group of guys. And of course, we're all in touch on social media today. You know, we do the reminiscing and the back in the day thing, but a great group of people and a great time. A lot of, you know, literally every afternoon we got together and worked out and we studied together, and hopefully you're all finding, you know, that group, that pack that you can be with, because that makes all the difference in the world. So fast forward to today, I'm going to talk a little bit about Evosus. So here I am standing, like I can see behind me, I'm in our headquarters here. We are Evosus Software. We are we're going to over 50 employees this year. And of course, just like the rest of the world, you know, we, mid-March last year, we had to go remote. Luckily, we had prepared and got laptops out to everybody and that type of thing. And it's worked out just fine, but it's not the same. You know, we don't have that pack together, but we've done well. We've done really well. I was telling Dean Singleton just before we got on the line here that, you know, we were like everyone else. We didn't know what was going to happen late March of 2020. We literally put our 401k match program on hold. We were preserving cash. It was a concerning time. And then what we realized by May was that not only were we going to be okay, but due to the fact that so many people, they weren't traveling, they weren't going to entertainment events, what were they doing? They were going in their backyard, and lucky for us, we are the top dog in the swimming pool, hot tub, and hearth or fireplace industries in North America. So you may not know the name Evosus, but trust me, if you owned a swimming pool store or a hot tub store, and now that I've mentioned that, you're going to see them everywhere. You're going to see them in strip malls. Like Dan was talking about a hot tub store. There it is. Or if you had a swimming pool route, right? These businesses are very profitable, and they're literally all in a demand exceeds supply situation. And a lot of these guys are going around, they're cleaning pools, they're fixing hot tubs, they're fixing and installing fireplaces and hearth units. And there's just not enough of them. And so they get so busy that they can't run on paper, they can't run on spreadsheets, and so they need software. And so what we do is we provide an all-in-one solution so that they can get off the paper, get out of the spreadsheets, and really start managing it like a business, not some, you know, helter-skelter thing where they're running to the next job. Organized, operational, and then eventually, if you do things right and you have a nice organized business, you can grow it. So our company is about streamline and grow. Streamline your day-to-day, save you tons of time, and grow your business and build wealth. So it's all about business. We turned 20 this year, and so, you know, this was literally a company started by 3 bootstrapped entrepreneurs that said, hey, you know, there must be hundreds of software programs out there for these industries. Well, guess how many there were? None. So we just started executing, and I was involved super early on when there was one client involved. I went away, went to Houston, went to North Carolina for a while, was working on some other business ventures, but always stayed in touch with the guys, and then came back 5 years ago. We have grown rapidly since that time. We are currently 45 employees. We're going to 53 this year, maybe more, and we are growing 30% year over year. So the way I always think about it is, one of the things I learned at Lubin was, you know, if you grow 15% year over year, you're going to double your company in 5 years, right? So that was always like sort of a baseline goal, like got to double it, got to grow it. So we're growing 30%. So we're pretty happy with that, and it is accelerating nicely. You might see that it says Lou on my shirt there. Of course, my sweatshirt today, I've got my Pace hoodie going on. But most days I've got my Lou shirt on. Lou is a fun way of saying, you know, we have our Evosus software program, which we now call Evosus Legacy. We actually shelved it and said we'll support it for 5 more years, but you know, we're going to stop selling it, and we move to the cloud. The world's moving to the cloud, and we need to too. And so as we did, we said, well, you know, what do we call this thing? And so we literally came up with the name Lou. Someone took the O, one of our founders, through the O, put L-O-U, and Lou was born. And so I thought, we're never going to be able to trademark Lou, right? Well, guess what? We trademarked Lou. So for the software industry, we own the name Lou, and the way people are like, Lou, wait, Yeah, I don't get it. Like your uncle, you know, Uncle Lou. So we have a lot of fun with it. We play on words. We're in the center of the universe, that type of thing. So we're having fun here as we go and as we grow. I don't mean to paint a picture of it's all fun and go, 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 because there are struggles along the way. When I came back to Evosus on a day-to-day capacity in 2015, I thought, oh, great. I actually came back as the VP of sales and marketing and thought this is going to be great. We're just going to sell tons and tons of software. And guess what? We did. In 2016, we had our biggest sales year ever. And so here I am thinking like, yeah, we're going, we're doing fantastic. Well, here's the problem with that. We got so much demand in 2016 that it literally crushed our support center. And so we ended up, you know, just not being able to properly onboard or support those clients. And so I went to the board of directors, which was really tough, and said, I think I need to take on a new role. And we talked about it, and you don't want to undermine anyone, right? You want to be good to your peers. You want to be good to those around you, but we need to get some new leadership in place. And I said, I think I'm the guy to grow this place. And so we agreed and we made some moves, and I'm happy to say it turned out very, very well. So we're growing and looking ahead to more geographies and more industries as we move ahead. So that's a little bit of background. And now we're going to move into 10 things I wish I knew 30 years ago. But before I go there, Dean Singleton, is there any questions you want to take or anything you want to throw in?
I wanted to ask you a question about something you just said. You said you're going to expand to other industries. That means you're going to move outside the swimming pool, hot tub, and fireplace markets, it sounds like.
We are. So if we look at our customer base, some of them are already taking us there, right? So they're in the fencing industry or in the HVAC industry, right? As you can imagine, you know, someone's in your backyard fixing your hot tub, and you might say to the guy, you know how to fix the HVAC unit? The compressor's out. And he says, sure, I can do that. So a lot of these guys just end up in these industries. So we've looked at that and said, huh, that's interesting. We're kind of already in those industries. We just don't talk about it like we are. So we're being careful because we are in a demand exceeds supply situation. We've got so much demand sitting right in front of us. And when we go into these industries, we don't want to just go in and say, oh yeah, we're in the HVAC industry. We want to make sure that we are really solving the needs and identifying like, well, isn't there software for the HVAC industry? Okay, what does it do? What does it not do? And that we enter the industry in a powerful way so that we're not only talking the talk, but we're providing a solution that no one else is doing. So we're being very careful about that.
Very interesting. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, here we go. 10 things I wish I knew 30 years ago. Number 10. The PACE co-op program rocks. It really does. This is how I got my start, guys. So there I was, happy to say that it was my sophomore year at PACE there in the Pleasantville campus. And, you know, I applied. I needed a job for the summer. And I thought, well, let me throw my hat in the ring. And I actually got 2 offers, one from Reader's Digest and one from Perrier, the water company. And even though Perrier actually paid more, the Reader's Digest opportunity felt right. So I ended up going with Reader's Digest. What was interesting was not only was that, you know, a summer job to make a few bucks, but it went so well that they said, hey, you know, anytime you have time, Dan, come on over and help out. And so Nick knows this, when I wasn't running or anything like that, I was, you know, working at Reader's Digest when it meant, you know, whatever it took, right? Taking the bus on up to the Pleasantville campus there at Reader's Digest and working and then coming back for practice. And it did turn into the first full-time job that I had. So in '92, when I graduated, it did not happen overnight, by the way. They didn't just toss me a job. I was nervous there for a while, but eventually just kind of kept at it and kept going. And then eventually they made me an offer and I ended up there for a number of years. So that was a very, very good thing. And I literally would never have had the opportunity if it wasn't for the co-op program. Mostly what I was doing was direct marketing. So it was the 90s. There was a lot of direct mail. Reader's Digest was a very, very powerful company. It went public in the 90s. It was a very exciting time. And there was a lot of history there. I would walk around the hallways and there was Modigliani's and a Matisse and just this unbelievable artwork that I could just start to appreciate. It was an amazing place, and it was a great place to build the foundation of my career. And so my recommendation to you is get involved. I looked at the web page before I, as I was preparing for this, and I thought, oh my goodness, there's just the numbers that 900 placements each year. It certainly was not that way in the late 80s, early 90s. So get involved. It's a great, great program. And I couldn't even tell you who believed in me, but somebody said, I like this kid, and we're going to help him get an internship. And that team was, I am forever grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Get involved with that co-op program, guys. Number 9, take responsible risks. That doesn't mean jump out of an airplane. It means know when to take that leap. I think that we all know that fear can hold us back. We have concerns. We try to be thoughtful and practical in what we do, and yet sometimes it makes sense to take a risk. So in 1992, I did graduate from Pace. I became a marketing associate at Reader's Digest and eventually grew to a marketing manager. And so, just kept plugging away, tried to be a high producer. And now check this out. I actually, I don't know if you guys can see, am I chopping off my screen here, or can you guys see that okay? Okay, beautiful. So in 1996, I actually applied for a demotion at Reader's Digest. So if you think about 1996, it was an interesting time. There's a little company called Amazon started making some waves about selling books online, right? It was right around that time. So here I was working in the core business. I was managing a large book continuity product line, making good money, making a bonus 4 years out of college. And I actually applied. There was an application, there was a job posted in the new media division at Reader's Digest. It was called, it wasn't internet, wasn't online. It was new media, because it was like, what's that internet thing? And so I applied for it. And people were basically like, you did what? I mean, you're a bonusable manager at a pretty young age there, Dan. You just applied for a position beneath you. And yes, I did. And I was happy to do so because I knew it. I knew the internet was going to be big. And so I was like, I'm in my 20s. I can take that responsible risk. And so I did. And by the way, because it turned heads and like, he did what? And he's willing to take a step back to take a step forward. That really impressed a lot of people. And so they said, yeah, we want you in this job. And no, we're not going to make you take a demotion. You go right ahead and keep plowing forward. So it worked out really, really well. By 1999, I was making double. It took in a few short years. It's just the income was there, the opportunity was there, the internet was taking off, and sure enough, that worked out. And I've got some ideas for you along the lines of what you can do if this story is so intriguing to you in just a few minutes. And it really did. It accelerated my career. And here's what happened. I went from like, oh yeah, Dan, this publishing guy, in his 20s getting things done. I became an internet guy. And so in the 90s, that was a really cool guy to be, right? Very unique skill set. And then eventually over the years morphed that into, internet, that's like tech, like software. And so one of the founders of Evosus originally approached me at a barbecue and said, man, we need help. We've been banging away on this software program for 3 years. We got one customer, can you help us, Dan? And I said, I'm pretty busy over here, but I want to help. So it takes time, but with perseverance and whatnot, it paid off very, very well. And I look back to that, you did what? You applied for that demotion as a critical point in terms of taking that appropriate risk. All right, let's keep moving. Number 8 is do the boring stuff. What does that mean? So here I am. Necessities thrive in challenging times, right? So here I am at Evosus headquarters, and what we do is incredibly boring. It really is. It's highly operational. I mean, if you ever go into the pool business or the hot tub business or the fireplace business, it's highly operational. There's inventory management like you couldn't believe. I don't know if any of you have counted inventory, but it's like eating paste. I mean, man, it is just, it's like, right, the old way. Like you want to be that. You want to be scanning and doing and taking that inventory. And so, it's as fun as you want it to be, but at the same time, what we do is we automate those boring tasks and we try to make it fun along the way. So, and why is that important? Because no one else wants to do it, right? It's like, who else is going after inventory? And so that's just one part of what we do. You know, I'm over here by our retail point of sale, service, and like routing. Is routing that interesting? I actually think it's kind of fun to route your route on Google Maps and optimize your route, but not everyone does, right? And so if we can make it easy and make it fun, we're successful. Take boring tasks that no one wants to do and automate them. And by the way, I've watched this company and I've watched other companies sail through recessions. So it's 2021, and y'all, over the next few decades, you're going to see boom and bust. You're going to see the ups and downs. That's just the way it works. And the three that I saw recently were 2000, 2008, and 2020. And we were, so 2000 was the dot-com bubble. I remember it very well. In March of 2000, all of a sudden, the internet very quickly fell out of fashion, like, that's just a flash in the pan, that internet thing. Of course, it came back, but the market crashed and it came back. 2008, most of you remember, housing bubble, big time, right? And so, and then 2020, quick dip during the pandemic and then right back again. So you're going to see boom and bust over time. It's just the market breathes, it grows, and then it exhales, it grows and it exhales. And if you, the point here is that if you do the boring stuff, and you put yourself in a position where you're like, yeah, I'm in a business that's going to just keep on chugging through, tends to come to necessity products. I think of things like waste management or, you know, recycling, right? It's like the garbage ain't going away, kids. It's always going to be there. So put yourself in a position where no matter what the economic cycle is, you can win, and you'll be happy that you did. Okay, I know we need to move. So number 7 is have a side hustle. Side hustle, right? We all know what side hustle is, right? It's got to go a gig on the side. And by the way, back in the 90s, this was taboo. Don't do that. The company owns you. It's not that way anymore. I'm sitting here as CEO of a company, and as long as you disclose it, then you're going to be just fine. Just let them know what you're doing and say, you know, is there any issue with me having a little side gig? No problem at all. And as you can probably guess from the picture here, I love gardening and landscaping and being outside, right? I didn't know about that about myself in 1992, but I do now. And so do what you love. So if you have to do the boring stuff, and like, I'm slogging my way through my job, but I know it's good, because Dan said it's going to take care of me in the downside, then find something that you love, you know, and do that. And I choose to do it in a profitable way, but maybe you're giving away your own time and you want to find out what makes you happy. You will find it. You just keep trying new things. It always gives you something to look forward to. You know, so much of us, we live our life as a system of rewards. So it's sort of like, well, I'm getting to Friday afternoon, I'm getting to the weekend, and man, there's that thing. And maybe today it's a trip, it's an adventure that I'm about to take, but tomorrow it could be that hobby, that side hustle that you have that just lights you up. So find that thing. As I said, make sure you disclose it, super important, disclose it, and all will be well. And then, you know, the hint here is focus on helping others. This is what I found, this is what many people find, you know, with age comes wisdom. And I think what you'll find is that there's a lot of things you could do. You'll probably find the most rewarding things in your life are from helping others, giving back. And so do it in your way. All right, who's ready for number 6? It's now that you have your side hustle, you should read the hustle, right? Some of you guys might know what this is. The hustle is our entire company, or most of our company, reads the hustle every day. Go to thehustle.co. I hope I'm not breaking any university rules by recommending a publication, but it's an email, guys. It's a free email newsletter. It's an app, of course, but it's all about business, and it's just the coolest thing. It's different topics every single day, and it's really built for entrepreneurs. What's hot? What's going on? It's got that New York swagger associated with it, right? So a little bit of attitude, and it's entertaining, it's funny, and I can't recommend enough. If you subscribe, as I'm sure a few of you are right now, pay attention to the long form on Sundays. They go Monday through Friday, they take off Saturday, and then on Sunday, they go deep into a topic. So a few weeks ago, they went deep into digital currency. And it was like, I don't get it. What is it? How does it work? They take you from knowing nothing and breaking it down into really simple terms. So check out the hustle. Now, I'm sure some of you are thinking, well, Dan said, get a side hustle. read the hustle. So number 5 must be do the hustle, right? Kim, you know what I'm talking about. No, it's not. Number 5 is be funny and make money. So here I am, working with Dean Singleton, trying to do more than just a webinar, just do more than just a roundtable. I'm trying to make it fun, trying to make it interesting, trying to give you what you need, something that can help you. Why? Because people want to be entertained, right? Who wants to just kind of slog on through the day? So the more that you can do this, and the more that you can make a simple event fun and interesting, the more successful you will be. Now, don't go so far off to that side. Of course, I would say that no matter what you're doing, that you all of a sudden become the jokester in the room. Don't be that. That's that bad kid in the back of the room, throwing the paper. Don't be that guy, but balance it out with being respectful and professional, and you can have a lot of success. So we do this with our weekly software demonstrations. So every single week, when the pandemic hit, before the pandemic, we used to go to trade shows. So we'd go to trade show, and there were thousands of people in the pool and hot tub and hearth industries just milling around. And we would talk with them, and we just inherently knew anyone that spent thousands of dollars walking in to meet with us, that was a very qualified person. They were in the industry. They weren't just dabbling. So it was sort of a gold mine for us. But about a year ago, that all went away. There's no more trade shows. There's no more trade events, right? There's, at least for a while, like all these events are gone. So we had to go, what do we do now? So we came up with basically this. I mean, it's a webinar, it's a roundtable, it's an online event. And we said, well, we don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to give it a shot. So every Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, we run these events, and we couldn't believe it. We had, all of a sudden 30 to 50 people showing up. And when we promote it, and even we said, let's not even send out an email, let's just let it ride. And we still get 15 to 20 people, businesses showing up. And so it's been very, very successful. We just thought, let's make it fun and interesting as we go. So we try to pick a topic, have some fun with it, and makes all the difference, especially when you're selling boring software. Number 4 is all boats rise with the tide. Guys, this is probably the most important one right here, because you want to get into an industry of the future. I cannot recommend this enough. I was talking to somebody recently who was getting into the publishing industry, and I said, I did that, but it was 1992. It's tough. It's tough. Not saying that you couldn't, shoot, I took Cobalt and Assembler when I was back at Pace, and those guys are getting paid really, really well, by the way, if you know mainframe systems, really well. But in a few decades from now, it's probably not going to be there. So going into an industry that's going like this, right, you're going to set yourself up for success. So worst case scenario, I know that coming out of Pace, I had a lot of fears, a lot of concerns. Gosh, will I be successful? Do I know enough to be successful? How am I going to establish my career? All these things, a lot of concerns. And by going into an industry that's rising, here's your worst case. You could be a mediocre employee in a rising industry, and you will do well, my friends. You'll do very, very well. So you want to set yourself up for success, and the way you do that is by getting into an industry that's taking off. Here's an example. So we here at Evosus, we used to write code the old way, line by line, writing code, building apps, that type of thing. That ain't the way anymore. It's called low code and no code. And what that means is we license a platform that's of course hosted in the cloud, and then we write our business logic on top of that. So it's drag and drop, and it's just, you're using, diagramming and flowcharts to create your business logic. No more line by line coding. That's the old way. You want to go the new way. Crypto and blockchain, we're all hearing a lot about it, right? Coinbase is about to go public. This is a wave of the future. This is the new internet, right? If anyone listens to Elon Musk or Mark Cuban or any of those guys out there, right? They say, well, in the 90s and early 2000s, it was like this internet thing. This is the new internet thing. It's called cryptocurrency, and the infrastructure behind it is blockchain. So check it out. It's about to change everything. There will be, in your lifetime, a global digital currency, right? So will there still be cash? Probably. Credit and debit, all those things, yes, but it's all about to change, and it's about to change over the next few years. So get into it. And then, of course, I had to throw in my thing, right? Landscaping and farming and all that kind of stuff. And so organic farm, maybe you're not into tech, maybe you're not into finance. Well, find that thing you love, and you wouldn't do farming or agriculture, looking ahead. You're focused on organic because that's all changing as well. So find that industry that's growing, get into it. All right, we're coming down to the wire, and here comes number 3. It is explore. So one of the things that I saw when I was at Pace in Pleasantville was a lot of people stayed really close to home. And I would say, why are you doing that? They said, well, my family's here. And I got it. In that day and age, it totally makes sense. Like, I love my family. I need to be close to my family. I love my family too. But I was willing to explore, and I would encourage you to do that. Why? Because more than ever, and this all just accelerated in the last year, employers are open to remote work more than ever. And by the way, there's airplanes. Your family will forgive you, and they might even fly out and see you if you're in Washington or Oregon or wherever. They'll probably like it. So look for that opportunity would be my recommendation to you. Go after the business opportunity, explore, see what feels right. Get out to the middle of the country, get out the West Coast, go global, right? And look at the opportunity, and then find where you fit in, because man, this is such a world of difference versus 30 years ago. Is especially if you're in tech, especially if you're in finance, especially if you're in an industry where remote employees are now acceptable. All the states are grappling with it, by the way, right? It's like, oh my gosh, how do I deal with a employee in South Dakota when we're based in New York, where they're figuring it out really, really quickly? And there's lots of reasons why I live on the West Coast. One of them is I save $40,000 a year by living in the state of Washington. Did you know that there's at least 7 states in the United States that do not have an income tax? It's true. Check it out. And we have this thing out here where I can actually go shop. I can drive over the bridge to Portland, and I can buy a sofa and not pay sales tax and drive it back to the state of Washington, where I don't pay income tax. So you're young, you've got opportunity. Check it out. Stay open now, and you'll be thankful you did later. Take care of yourself. Again, you have the gift of time, and there's so much more here than there was years ago. So I encourage you to just be good to yourself. There are treatments available today that were not available in the past. Herbs, remedies. I take daily supplements every day. There's things called peptides and exosomes. Google it. And even if you're not in sports, make friends with a sports medicine doctor. It's all about longevity. By the way, another great industry to get into, can't go wrong. It's all about lifestyle and longevity. So check it out, take good care of yourself. Other things that I found work really well are meditation. We all have busy lives and our bodies need to decompress. Meditation is incredibly powerful. And these days, I don't know how to meditate. You pull up a YouTube video and figure it out. You figure it out quick. And then the other thing that's worked well for me that I just want to share that I wish I had known years ago was the walk and talk. So my wife, Julie, and I, we walk and we talk. We're like, long day, especially this time of year when it's light until 7:30 at night. I mean, we just walk, right? I don't run so much anymore, like on the cross country team, but I walk a lot. And we just talk and we decompress. Do that walk and talk. It's really, really healthy. Okay. I feel like I need a drum roll at this point, because here comes the number one thing I wish I'd known 30 years ago. And it is believe in yourself. I know it sounds like Tony Robbins or inspirational, but it's really true. I'll tell you that I'm not going to talk about the business ventures I started and didn't work out, but I will tell you that they all failed because ultimately I doubted myself. And I said, and if I had kept going a little bit longer, they would have been successful. And so I found my way. I figured things out. We all do as we go. I say, believe in yourself. So this is just a funny way of saying that. Believe in yourself, even when no one else will. You have to truly believe in yourself. There's loved ones around you that can believe in you. But you have to believe in yourself. And when you do, people will be drawn toward you and you will magnify that. By the way, we're big Sasquatch people out here in the Northwest. It's a thing. We're all very squatchy. I've fallen into it, and it's a lot of fun. They're everywhere, by the way. Challenges are inevitable. I mentioned this earlier. There will be boom and bust, and how you respond to those challenges is ultimately up to you. And so you have this unique opportunity to sort of put yourself in a business that's immune to those booms and busts. Like, just cruising along. Don't dismiss the waste management industry. I'm telling you, there's always garbage. You know, all those things, right? Necessity products. Above all, believe in yourself. That is the top 10. And I've got one more inspirational slide or two here. Tomorrow's St. Patrick's Day, and I want to wish the luck of the Irish to be with you. And remember, lose an hour in the morning and you will spend all day looking for it, right? So this speaks to, you all have the gift of time. Take whatever time you have and make the most of it. And when in doubt, I've learned this, take action. You know, think and plan. We're all expected to think and plan really, really, really quickly. Okay, you ready? And then take action. And whatever it is, you'll want to take that action. So with that, thank you, Dean Singleton. Thank you so much, Kim Turner, and thank you all. I hope you've enjoyed that.
Very, very much so. And I want to give the students and those in attendance a chance to answer your questions, but you've got this great attitude about life. Have you always had that? And I would like to say that Pace is what gave that to you, but that may be a little bit of a... That's where you go.
Go Setters. Dean Singleton, I think that comes with experience. I really do. I think that when you survive the booms and busts and you make it through and you can look back with that knowledge, I think you end up feeling very thankful. I know I am thankful for the successes that have come along the way. And when you're thankful, you just end up in a good place.
Sounds great. If anybody has questions, you can raise your hand or you can put them in the chat. Ileana, if you'll get them, that would be great. I don't know if there's any questions for anybody for Mr. McManus.
I put, you'll have a hard time finding me on Instagram. So if you want to follow up, I'm on LinkedIn, pretty responsive that way, or email works for me. So old school these days, but there's my Gmail address if anyone has any follow-up questions.
Great.
I have a question. It's clear that you have like a focus on innovation and that your company has a focus on innovation as well as you're going into the cloud business and everything. So I'm just thinking that company culture, it might not be for everyone. So when you interview someone to come into your company, what are like some things that you try to search for, some personality traits, so that you know that they'll be able to thrive in that innovative environment and kind of grow with the company?
Oh, thank you, Anna. Great question. Definitely finding people. What I've found over time is the hardest thing to find in terms of personnel is people that have the right skill set and they care. A lot of times you'll find people that have the right skill set, but they don't care. They just don't care about their day-to-day. A lot of times you'll find people that they care tremendously and they want to make something work, but they don't have the right skill set. And when you find that beautiful combination of, hey, I was looking for someone for the customer support team. I need someone to answer phones all day. They genuinely care. And they have a knack for technology, that type of thing. That's sort of the perfect combination. The other thing that I look for is drive, right? So lots of people sort of tend to live reactively, right? So all related to our support center, I'm going to wait for that next phone call to come in. I'm going to wait for that next ticket to show up from the support center website. But when I get excited about is when someone's like, I want to proactively call our clients. I want to build that relationship. I want to let them know about the next new feature that just launched. That's gold. And so when we do interviews and that type of thing, that's what I look for. Do you care? Do you have the right skills? And do you have that inner drive and that proactive mindset? And if we have that, they'll be hired right on the spot.
Dan, there is a question in the chat from your friend. It says, I tell my business students to never burn bridges. What is the one bridge that you say was the one you thank yourself for keeping intact and why?
Wow. The one, I wish there was one. You know, I think that I referenced how I was at Evosus, I left and I came back. And I think that's a really good example. Literally, I was at this company when the friend asked me at a barbecue, hey, we're trying to start a software company. We have one client. We're 3 years into coding and we're scared to death that we might fail. can you help? And at the time I was doing my own startup. I was a marketing consultant and building an agency. And I said, I really don't have time, but I want to help. And so we worked it out. So I helped part-time and that type of thing. So you get creative, you find ways to make things work. And so, but ultimately I literally got to the point where I had 2 growing businesses and it just became unmanageable. I was doing everyone a disservice by continuing. So I had to come to the guys and they were not thrilled and had to say, sorry guys, I can't work on the Evosus business anymore. And they were real nice. They said, we understand. We're not thrilled about it, but we understand. And would you stay in touch? Would you stay on the board of directors, which was a bunch of guys on a phone call a couple times a year? I said, sure, absolutely. How could I say no? That type of thing. So didn't burn the bridge, stayed in touch. And then, as the world turned, it was probably about 15 years later, all of a sudden I said, I'm ready for my next adventure. I can come on back. And when I did, they went, great, let's make this work. So, literally, things that you do now, you may reconnect decades down the road. It's bound to happen. So treat relationships like gold. It's definitely a good message. Because what's the saying? It's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, there's a lot of truth to that. And I think what it really means is cherish relationships. When you find that pack, whether it's your cross-country team or your studying group or whoever it is that, are like kin and that you hang out with, cherish those relationships. You will fall back on them over and over.
Another question. So you did mention how important it is to have a side hustle, but also to meditate and maintain a healthy lifestyle, and you're doing all of these things at once. How do you go about managing your time well while doing all of these things? Because you could very easily burn out.
Yeah, I think that's why you do those things, right? I think that's why you do the walk and talk, and that's why you do the meditation is pace yourself is the phrase that comes to mind, right? And so there's a lot of truth to that. You want to make sure you're not pulled in so many directions. Everyone's got a different threshold. And, the analogy that we tend to use a lot is spinning plates. Oh, I'm over here spinning plates and I can keep that one going and I jump to the next one, but be good to yourself. That's exactly why I included that slide, because it's not all about go, 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 take 4 side hustles and go. And, one of them's bound to pop. Okay. But you will burn out if you do that. So you want to be good to yourself. You need that downtime. Meditation's good. Walking and exercise is very important. And what gets me excited is there's so many treatments available now that were not available years ago. Over time, you end up with health issues. You just do. Your body gets older. And so some of the things I put on there, whether it's herbs or exosomes, that type of thing, check it out. There's some great solutions available now that were just not available decades ago, and makes the world an exciting place.
Any more questions for Mr. McManus?
I have another personal question.
Yes.
So you said that way back when internet was first becoming a thing, you knew that was the next best or big thing. And then you said that e-currency and blockchain, it's gonna become something big, and that we should look into the next big thing. But how do you know, or how do you go about even researching or figuring out what that next big thing will be?
Yeah, certainly there's no crystal ball that says this is absolutely going to be the thing. But I think if you follow your instincts, you attend your classes at pace, you read the hustle, and you just make yourself aware of what's out there, you can figure it out pretty quick, right? Like one of the things that's huge out here and state by state is going legal is the cannabis industry, right? It's another one. It's just obvious. Over time, it's just organically growing and morphing into an enormous industry. So you look for those macro level trends. That's like, well, that's the way things are going. People are moving on to software. Even the swimming pool, the backyard industries, they're all growth paths. So as the population grows, as we evolve, we can all, I think, use common sense in our education to figure out, what those trends are, and then okay, hey, I'm comfortable over there. Like, you know, I'm not a developer, right? One of the other ones I talked about was low code and no code. You know, I couldn't program a line of code if my life depended on it, despite my Cobalt and assembler experience at Pace. Couldn't do it. It's just not who I am. I'm not a developer. But if I were a developer, I'd kind of go out and assess and go, okay, what are the technologies of the future? Is it really PHP and HTML5? Probably not. It's been with us a few decades. So look ahead and see what's next. And then it becomes pretty obvious pretty quickly what that next big trend is.
I have a question, if I may. First, Dan, this was really great presentation. It is not lost on me why you're a runner with all this energy. Truly, it was great. But two quick questions. Not sure if you can pull yourself back to when you were a student, but do you recall when you were going through Pace, where you saw yourself in the business world? Did you have a plan, or did your career kind of unravel because of some of the things that you talked about? And then the second thing I wanted to ask you was, I know you said you go through the boom and the busts, and that you tried things that didn't always work out. And I think you had said, you know, had you stuck with them, they might have worked out. Well, you know what, they might not have worked out. And I guess I've often heard that sometimes failure teaches you things. So I wanted to know if you could reflect on that for a little bit.
Yeah. All right. So the first one, no, I had no clue what I wanted to be. I'd love to say I, you know, had this grand vision for what I wanted to become and who I was, but I didn't. I was quite immature that way, I suppose. I found my way. I did have drive, right? And so we had a great cross-country team and a great track team and great collaboration with students at Pace. And that was sort of my world for a number of years. But literally I ended up in marketing, Kim, because I talked to upperclassmen. I think that's not to be understated. Just socialize, talk to people in marketing, talk to people that went into accounting, to finance. And why did you go there? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? That type of thing. And if you educate yourself in that way, I find that you're pulled in different directions. And so when I talked to an upperclassman who happened to live in the dorm there on the Pleasantville campus, he's like, dude, you got to check out marketing. It's like, you want to make hay? This is where you need to go. And I went, oh, okay, marketing, like, great, let me check it out. Little did I know that there was one of the largest direct marketing companies in the world right up the road, Reader's Digest, and the co-op program from Reader's Digest connected me with that company, and look where I ended up. So serendipity, maybe, but you explore, you find your way, and doesn't mean you always get it right. So second question was failure. And let me give you an example of what I consider a failure. So circa 2007, I started a new business. I had moved on from Houston. I was in North Carolina. I started an agency. The agency was doing some nice, boring things and making a few bucks. And then I had an idea for a new program, and it was a lead generation program. For anyone who's an insurance company or multi-level marketer, you know, what do you need? A constant flow of leads, new people that say, hey, I'm interested in that product or service. So I created a new program, and I took out an SBA loan for $100,000, put a lien on my house, and I built it. And I went to trade shows, and I funded the trade shows, and it was tens of thousands of dollars per trade show. I mean, I went through that $100,000 pretty quickly, and it was scary. And so if you think about the timing, I said that was 2007. Well, guess what happened in 2008 to 2009, right? I had just built up a book of business. I had Prudential there out of Newark, New Jersey. I had Western and Southern Life. We had food companies, farm-to-table food companies who had signed up for the program. And in the spring of 2009, it was like light switches going off. Click, 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 click. Everything went off. The first thing to go during the recession was media and advertising. And it was heartbreaking. It was horrible. But that's what happens in times of bust. I was not in the waste management industry. I was not in software that plows through. I was in advertising and media. And you know, when times are good, man, times are good. And when, you know, bust hits, it's one of the first things to go. So you got to be careful there. And so I lost a lot. I recovered. I ultimately recovered. Happy to say that I paid off that SBA loan. Took a few years, and that felt really, really good to pay off that loan. You know, ultimately I shifted directions. I will say that I have absolutely had moments where I said, you know, if I had just kept going with that program, man, it would probably be a $50 million company today. But I didn't. I shifted directions, right or wrong.
Thank you.
Well,
I have another quick question I think we have time for.
Okay.
If I can see that it's important to you from your presentation and everything to kind of, when you go into a room, to be clear about how you can add value to the people there and keeping that positive mindset and everything. And I see that as a value of a good leader. So I was just wondering about leadership. What does that look like to you? How do you make sure that you're a good leader and that your team members feel like you're a good leader as well?
Oh, thank you, Anna. I really think it comes back to something that was in the presentation a few minutes ago, and it's about giving. When I thought about this presentation, and you know, you're speaking with Kim and speaking with Dean Singleton, just you know, my mind immediately went to, what can I give, right? If I've only got an hour with y'all, then you know, what can I give that would make it worth that hour of time? Time is precious, and so that's what I wanted to do. And I thought, you know, hopefully today's discussion will inspire someone to say, yeah, you know, maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something, maybe I will explore some of those industries and look at them a little bit differently than I was before, because of some of the information we discussed today. So I think that, to me, that is being a good leader. Is it's not about I did this and I did that. You try to create a collective team, and certainly whether it's helping your customers, your clients, adding value. In the end of the day, it's about giving. Because if you can, giving is solving a problem. I've got a problem. My business is running on paper. It's really, really slow. There's a solution. Well, that's what we do. We focus on, well, let's give you a solution. It happens to cost money. We charge dollars and cents for it, and that's okay. But along the way, we provide a solution. And by the way, you know, one of the things we've learned here is that, and we call ourselves a software company, but software without support is, you know, I mean, it's oil without vinegar. I mean, it just doesn't work. The analogy would be, but you have to have support, and support is another way that we give to our clients. And every day we get hundreds and hundreds of phone calls and emails from our clients saying, I need help, like, because I'm in the software program, but I need help. And so we look at it like it's giving. How can we help solve the problem? How can we give? And when we help, we know that there's a ripple effect, right? And so we're able to help businesses and ultimately help consumers who are looking for a solution.
Well, I want to thank you very much for this excellent presentation. Thank those in the audience who asked the really good, thoughtful questions. I really appreciate it. Mr. McManus is a great example of very successful Lubin alumni. And I hope you've all, you know, taken advantage and learned from the opportunity to hear from him. I look forward to the time when I can welcome you to New York when things open back up and you decide to travel east to build some new relationships or whatever. But I'd love to get you involved on the ground when things open back up, and hope you'll be able to do that.
You can count on it. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. And we have a small token of our appreciation for your participation today, but I can't hand it to you through the Zoom. So we'll have to get it in the mail to you, but you can look for that in the next few days. But
I hope it's a sweatshirt with the new logo.
Well, I guess we'll have to do that. I'm not sure we haven't printed yet, but we'll get you one of those too. No question about that. Yeah. But I want to thank you so much for taking time out for us today. It was really, really meaningful. I appreciate your time very much. I look forward to meeting you in person. Thank you.
Thank you.
Same here. Thanks all.
Thanks, Dan. Really, really great.